Hi, welcome to subtracting mixed numbers. The aim of today's lesson is to subtract mixed number fractions with different denominators. So my learning objective is to subtract mixed number fractions with different denominators. There are some key vocabulary I want you to take note of. The numerator. The numerator is normally the top number. The denominator is the bottom number. Now, a mixed number is just a fraction with a whole part and a fraction part. And subtract is when you take away something from a group. There are three success criteria that will help you in subtracting mixed numbers. The first is for you to be able to convert a mixed number into an improper fraction. And second, for you to also be able to find the lowest common multiple, which is normally the LCM. And third, that you can even rewrite the fraction with the new common denominators and subtract. Some few tips in subtracting fractions. Now, tip number 1, to convert from mixed number to improper fraction. To do that, multiply the denominator with the whole number and add the numerator. Number 2, to find the lowest common multiple LCM of denominators, write the multiples of the denominators, then select the first common multiple. Tip number 3, to keep a fraction equivalent, whatever you do to the numerator, do the same to the denominator. And tip number 4, always subtract the numerators, never subtract the denominators. So how do we go about subtracting 2 5/9 take away 1 5/6? To do that, first we have to convert the mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now, to convert mixed number into improper fraction, you take the denominator, which the first one is 9 here, times by the whole number 2, so 9 times 2 is 18, and then we have to add the 5. So 18 add 5 will give me 23. So it's 23 over 9. We do the same with the second fraction. Take the denominator 6, multiply by 1. 6 times 1 is 6, and if I add 5, that will give me 11. So it's now 11 over 6. So I have converted my mixed number into improper fractions, and I can see they have different denominators here, 9 and 6. Before we subtract, they must have the same denominator. So how do I go about doing that? Come with me to my working on the right hand side. So this is where we find the LCM of the denominators. The denominators 9 and 6. Now LCM is just the common lowest multiple. The lowest common multiple instead. So the multiples of 9 are the 9 times table here. And the multiples of 8, the multiples of 6 are the 6 times table here. So I can see there is an 18 here and there's also an 18 here. So 18 is common, is a common multiple for the two. So 18 is now going to be my new denominator for both of them. Now, when I have done that, I'll then ask myself this question. What did I multiply 9 by to get 18? And from my multiples, I can see 9 times 2 is 18. So I have to do the same with the numerator. I have to do 23 times 2. And 23 times 2 is 46. Coming to the second fraction, I'll ask myself the same question. What did I multiply by 6 to get 18? And from my multiples, I'll see 6 times 3 is 18. So I also have to multiply the numerator 11 by 3 to get 33. Now my fraction has the same denominator. So what we need to do now is subtract. Remember, we never subtract the denominators. The denominators remain the same, is 18. All we do is subtract the numerators. So if you have 46 and you take away 33, 13 remain. Now, can 13 over 18 be simplified? No. So my answer is actually 13 over 18. What I want you to do is to pause the video at this point and do this. 7 7/10, take away 6 3/4. How did you do? Now, if we are given the mixed number 7 7/10 to take away 6 3/4, now the first thing we need to do is to convert these mixed numbers into improper fractions. And how do we go about doing that? We take the denominator 10, multiply by the whole number. So 7 times 10 is 70, and we add the numerator 7. So 70 add 7 is 77. So my new improper fraction is 77 over 10. And we do the same with this mixed number. So you take the denominator 4 times by 6. So 6 times 4 is 24. 24 add 3 is 27. So the mixed number written as an improper fraction is 27 over 4. Now, as you can see, these fractions have different denominators. Before I can subtract, they must have the same denominator. So how do I go about working out my fraction with the same denominator? I have to work out the lowest common multiple. So come with me to the right hand side where I'm going to show some working. So we're looking for multiples of 10 and multiples of 4. Now multiples just mean the times table. The times table of 10 are here, and the times table of 4 are also here. As you can see, there's a 20 here and there's also a 20 here. So 20 is the lowest common multiples of the two denominators. So 20 will now become my new denominator here. Now, if 20 is my new denominator, I'll then ask myself this question. What will I multiply 10 by to get 20? From my multiples, I can see 10 times 2 is 20. Now, I have to do the same with the numerator. I have to multiply 77 by 2, and 77 times 2 is 154. I have to do the same with the second fraction. Now, the denominator has turned to be 20. I'll have to ask myself, what will I multiply 4 by to get 20. And from my multiples, I can see 4 times 5 is 20. So I have to multiply the numerator also by 5, 27 times 5. And 27 times 5 will give me 135. So my denominators are now the same and I can subtract. Remember, we never subtract the denominators, so the denominators remain the same, 20. All we need to do is subtract the numerators. So 154 take away 135 will give me 19. Now, can 19 over 20 be simplified? No, so that is my answer. Right, what I want you to do is to now pause the video here and go and do the work. The mild is S1 and it will be on page 1. The answers will be on page 2. Please do not look at the answers before doing the work. Do the work first and then go and check your answers. Medium is not as challenging as the hot. So do the work is, if you go to the work, is on page 3 and the answers are on page 4. Please again do not look at the answers first. And the same applies for the hot. The hot will be on page 5 and the answers on page 6. Now, just to check on your learning, I want you to call a guardian, or if they are busy, call a sibling, select one of the questions that you did correctly, and show them the steps how you did it. Just as a reflection to our learning objective. Now, were you able to convert mixed numbers into improper fractions? Were you also able to find the lowest common multiple of the denominators? Were you even able to rewrite the fraction with the new common denominator and then subtract? If you were able to do this, well done. You can now subtract fractions.